Whether they exist on or off the property, environmental hazards have an adverse effect on a property's value and desirability, as the hazards might affect a prospective buyer's decision to purchase the property. They are disclosed as material facts. The disclosure to prospective buyers of environmental hazards related to a property known to a seller and seller's agents is required on the sale, exchange, or lease of all types of property. A seller's agent uses the Transfer Disclosure Statement, or TDS, to advise prospective buyers of their knowledge about conditions which constitute an environmental hazard on or around the property. The TDS is delivered at the time a prospective buyer inquires further about a listed property, prior to entry into a purchase agreement. Further, a seller's agent uses the RPI Form 308 to disclose the existence of unique environmental factors or conditions that were not referenced in the boilerplate language of the TDS, which may adversely affect the property or its immediate vicinity, such as the close proximity of an industrial use zone. While the disclosure of an environmental hazard is the obligation of the seller, it is the seller's agent who has the agency duty of care and protection owed to the seller to place them in compliance with the environmental hazard disclosure requirements. Further, the seller's agent also has an additional, more limited, general duty to prospective buyers of the listed property. On taking a listing, the seller's agent is to personally conduct a visual inspection of the property for an environmental hazards, and of course physical defects too. In turn, the seller's agent uses the TDS to advise prospective buyers of the seller's and their own observations and knowledge about conditions which constitute an environmental hazard. Now, the seller's agent inquiry into hazardous materials ought to precede the seller's preparation of the TDS. Why, you may ask? Well, by doing so, the seller is mentally prepared to release information about their knowledge of defects in the condition of the property. To conclude the seller's agent's disclosure of environmental hazards and eliminate any further duty to advise the prospective buyer about the environmental hazards, the seller's agent delivers or confirms the buyer's agent has delivered a copy of the environmental hazard booklet approved by the California Department of Health and Safety to the buyer. The environmental hazard booklet is not a disclosure of known defects on the property. The booklet merely contains general information on a few critical environmental hazards, none of which might actually exist on the property. Delivery of the booklet is confirmed in writing through a provision in the purchase agreement. Also, the seller's agent might be asked by either the prospective buyer or the buyer's agent about environmental hazards on or about the property. When asked, the seller's agent is duty-bound to respond fully and honestly to the inquiry.